Hello and welcome. You know, every once in a while I come across a bike that really hits all the high notes for me, and this bike is one of them. It's my 1951 Schwinn World Traveler. Now, the thing about this bike is I'm the second owner. How cool is that? A 70-year-old bike and I'm the second owner. I originally thought that I would be restoring it. Unfortunately, as hard as I looked, I could not find any reproduction decals. They have them for just about every other bike Schwinn ever made, but not for this model. Now, yes, I could go out and have custom ones made, but you know what? That's kind of pricey. So I'm choosing a different route with this bike. I'm going to preserve it so it doesn't get any more deteriorated than it is. And to be honest, it's not that bad. There's a little rust on the chrome bits. The paint has been faded. It was originally red, now it's gold in most places. And the fenders have been painted whereas they were, according to the catalog, originally chrome, so I'm going to do something about that. And in the meantime, it's time to tear this bike down as part of that preservation process. Now, the weird thing is, this bike, it's 70 years old, like I said. I thought this was going to give me all kinds of headaches when it came time to do the teardown. I could not have been more wrong. I didn't even have to use any penetrating oil or WD-40 or anything like that on the fasteners. I was totally taken aback. The hardest part to remove were the handlebars and stem because that had seen some moisture, I guess, and it was a little rusty, but it still came out easier than some 10-year-old bikes I've worked on. Once I got the hardware off of the handlebar, it was pretty much just a case of applying a little bit of persuasion, so to speak, with a rubber mallet to get the stem to release. And once it did, it came out just as nice as you please. Similarly, loosening the seat post clamp, which has a really odd square bolt on it, the seat came out just as slick as you could ask for. And I figure one of two things have gone on here. The least likely is that the stem and the seat post were installed in such a way from the factory that they just kept their good shape all these years. What is more likely, I think, is that the prior owner maintained this bike. I'm also inclined to think that is the case because when I first got the bike, you do a test spin of the wheels, and that front wheel, it was smooth as silk. So I'm thinking the bearings were repacked at least once in its life, if not more. But anyways, moving right along, next on the agenda was the rear wheel and the chain guard. And as far as that chain guard goes, let me tell you, that is one heavy, hunking, big piece of sheet metal. They built these things to last back then, let me tell you. I did save the Sturmey Archer 3-speed shifter and its integral shift cable. I'll be honest with you, I've never taken one of those 3-speed shifting units apart, and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm going to play it safe. As long as this cable is working, good enough for me. You know what I mean? What I'm going to do with the frame and the decals and so forth is I'm going to do what I can to keep the rusty spots from getting any bigger, and then the whole thing is going to be rubbed down with 4/0 steel wool, and a couple coats of clear are going to go on top of that to preserve what's left so it doesn't deteriorate any further. And I think this bike is going to be fun when it's done. Remember that I said earlier that the paint had become faded over the years? Well, these shots, you can kind of see that in better contrast. That gold, I suspect, was probably a base coat, and the red might have been something similar to a candy apple coat. And wouldn't that have just been amazing? But like I said, I would like to restore it, but lacking access to the decals, I'm going to preserve it as is. Now, as far as the chrome stuff goes, what I did was I soaked all the hardware, I guess you would say, not just the brake levers and the brake calipers, but also all the little bits, the fasteners and the clips and whatnot. Soaked them for 48 hours in Metal Rescue. And, you know, I'm not going to say these look new, but they look like they're only 10 years old, not 70. I like tinkering on machines, and bikes satisfy that urge. They scratch that itch, and you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a thumbs up, and stay tuned because there's more to come on this bike. There's a link below left to a playlist for other vintage bikes I've had, and there's a link below right to another video that I think you will enjoy. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it when you do. Goodbye and have a great day.